Trying to figure out what I was going to say tonight, I thought back about a lot of the Hall of Fame dinners that I've been to and what made for good speeches at them. And I wish I was really funny, like Trey Holland was the night he got inducted. I'm really not. I wish I was real inspirational, like Jack Barber was last year, and could make you want to go out and conquer the world tomorrow. That's not really me either. As Keith said, one of my talents is to say in one sentence what most people can say in 5, and I'm going to stick to what I'm good at and keep it short tonight. You know, the first thing I want to do is introduce my family. They're sitting up here at the front table. My beautiful wife, Stephanie. I feel fortunate to have her in my life. She's such a good mother to our children and running our house. Thank you for everything. Next, my beautiful daughter, Cammie. She's 7 years old, in the 2nd grade, a little shy sometimes, but she's getting better at that. Cammie is one of the smartest little girls I know, and she's getting really good at gymnastics and piano. And one of the things Cammie and I really like to do together in the summer is go down to the pool and go swimming. Next is my son, Travis. There he is. He's not quite as shy. Trav, wave to everybody. Trav's 5 years old and is in kindergarten this year. Trav cracks me up. He's so much fun to be around. I hope he never loses that smile. Trav and I this summer started going hiking in the woods over near our house, and he likes to go fishing with me, so that's a lot of fun. Next, my parents. Sitting over here, Don and Josie Essig, also known in our house as Gran and Golf Ball. Now, my kids didn't name him that. That came from my sister's children. I think they got Golf Ball and Grandpa mixed up and it became Golf Ball. But it has stuck ever since, and we like it. You know, I'm very thankful for the family I grew up in. I had 2 parents that loved each other and loved the Lord. It's very comforting as a child to know that you're loved and that your parents will do anything for you. Now, as a golf professional, I feel really fortunate that I had my hero and my mentor in the house with me when I grew up. And I'm sure most of you know or can figure out the impact he's had on my life and my career. But what gets overlooked a lot is my mom and what she's meant to me. You know, she was the one who drove me around Indiana. When I took the job at Forest Hill, she wondered if I went there because that's the one place she could never find, junior golf tournaments. And I said no. But you know, my father worked a lot of hours, so you know, she was there a lot of times by herself, taking us places, getting me up for school. And you know me well, know that getting me up in the morning is not that easy. I like to sleep. So Mom, Dad, both of you, I appreciate everything you've done for me. I would also like to introduce dear friends of our family, Mrs. Betty Van Campen and her daughter Luann, who are here tonight sitting with my parents. Mrs. Van Campen traveled down last year to Florida for the Pro of the Year award I won and came to that award ceremony, and that meant really a lot to me. I will also tell you, Mrs. Van Campen was my Sunday school teacher when I was little, and she also coordinated Steph and I's wedding when we got married. So Mrs. Van Campen, thank you for everything you've done for my family. Golf's been very good to me. It has given me way more than I can ever give back. And if you ask yourself, why is golf such a great game? You know, my answer to that question is the relationships. And I think Mr. Schumacher hit it a little bit. The relationships you build with the players you play with, people you come in contact with, people you serve on committees with. I'd like to take just a few minutes to tell you about some of those relationships. You know, I wish I had time to go around the room to everybody I know in here and be able to tell you what they meant to me. That would be breaking my first promise to keep this short. You know, hopefully you all do know it if I don't mention your name. But I do want to go through a few groups. The first group is the professionals I get to work with. 3 of them are in the room tonight: Keith Clark, Kyle Miller, and Kyle Matson. I learned so much from all these gentlemen. They bring, each brings something different to our operation. They're special talents, and they all make our operations better. Gentlemen, I appreciate everything you do for us. The next group is all the men and ladies I've served with on boards over the years. Like David, when he first was talking to me about running for a board, I didn't realize how long some of them lasted. I'm not sure when the foundation board ends. But they're a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. I'm really not looking forward to the day it ends. But I've gotten to meet so many neat people on these boards. In Indiana, for those not familiar with the way we're set up, the professional body and the amateur body are set up underneath the same golf office. That's unusual for the PGA of America to have that. I think there's only three other sections that are set up that way. But it is so great. I've gotten to meet so many of the amateurs I would have probably never really gotten a chance to meet if we couldn't serve on boards together. And it's been very special for me to get to meet those people. One special thanks I'd like to make is to Jack Barber. Jack and I were officers on the Indiana section together. I always knew Jack was there to support me. And Jack, I appreciate all the time you set aside to meet with me, to mentor me, and to help me. You know how special you are to me, and you definitely made golf better in Indiana. Thank you, Jack. The next person I'd like to thank, or group of people, is the staff at the Indiana Golf Office. Mike David, as I just alluded to, was the first person to really encourage me to run for the board. I think he had more confidence in me than I had in myself at that time. Mike and I are pretty close to the same age, and we kind of grew up through the Indiana PGA together. And I've always appreciated Mike for pushing me to get on the board, and then once I was there, being my friend. I've enjoyed working with him. Mike also helped me with the rules of golf. A lot of people wonder why I got involved with the rules of golf, or think, oh, your dad was involved, you wanted to get involved. And my folks will tell you a story about when we were young, traveling back from a PGA championship, and I decided I'd read the rule book, and I think I drove my mom and sister nuts asking my dad questions about the rules. I guess 8 hours of rules questions was too much for them. But after that, yeah, I probably knew the rules better than most juniors, but I really didn't know them well. I really got involved with the rules when I started to work with my dad at South Grove. It was necessity. He was gone a lot. That was when he was very busy with the rules committee. Our phone would ring. It would be somebody wanting a rules question answered, and when he wasn't there, they expected me to know the answer. I figured I better go to rules school and figure this stuff out. So that's what I did go to my first rules school, and then Mike David helped me out quite a bit. He let me come work his events, took me under his wing and taught me how they were doing things, and really let me get my feet wet in the rules of golf world. And Mike, I'll never forget that, and I appreciate you doing that for me. The next person I'd like to thank is Dave Green. He's with Special Olympics Indiana. He couldn't be here tonight, but I still wanted to mention his name. One of the best things I've been involved with golf is Special Olympics Indiana. For the last 12 or 13 years, we've been hosting their state tournament, and I've got to know Dave really well. He works at their state office and runs the golf program, and he has mentored me in the world of Special Olympics, and the athletes I've gotten to meet and their families has changed my life. It's such a neat event. For the pros in the room, I know a few of you have come out and helped. Chad, I know you were there this year, and Keith's done it. I encourage anybody who wants to come to the state tournament to come check it out. It's a golf event like you haven't seen before. It's a lot of fun. We'll have over 300, 350 people there that day, but it is a really neat event. So I'd like to thank Dave for all he's done helping me with the Special Olympics world. And the last relationships, I've alluded to a little bit, I don't want to talk about, is the rules of golf world. There's quite a few in the room that are in that rules of golf world that I've known, and it's neat. Like he said, I got to do a lot of neat events this year. The Masters and the PGA and the Ryder Cup are all neat. Trust me, the Ryder Cup can be a little stressful. The second green on number 2. I survived. What you really take away from the events, I'll be honest with you, I don't remember that many shots I've seen at major championships. What I do remember are the relationships with the people, the other rules committees, members that are there. I can remember times Mike and I spent out on the course probably 10 years ago, just joking about something. My dad, and I'll tell a story on myself. My dad likes to tell this story, and so does Ron Hickman, a gentleman on our PGA of America Rules Committee. When we get together, and this is kind of stories we usually talk about. It's usually not golf-related stories. But one time after an event, we were down at Port St. Lucie at PGA Golf Club, and we were fishing. I let most of you know I like to fish. My dad's not much of a fisherman, but he likes to watch people fish. And so we were fishing, and I'm sure we were having a little contest on who could catch the most fish. And I caught one, but right about as I got it at the bank, there was an alligator that decided he wanted to get the fish. And I can't do it very well, but you should see Ron Hickman imitating me, running down the bank, carrying my pole, dragging the fish, running from this alligator. So usually when I get together, I get to hear that story at least once, but I can always get Ron back. He painted the memorial bridge for Payne Stewart at Hazeltine one year when he was painting a hazard by shaking the can as he read the plaque and dropping it. So I always give him a hard time on that one. Well, what it is, it's the relationships. It's really the times driving in the car to the golf course. It's the times at dinner at night. One thing our committee, I've been involved in painting the golf courses, going out, walking the course with your friends. Yes, the events are neat. I like watching good golf shots. I'm amazed at some of the golf shots I've seen. Jason Duffner at the Ryder Cup hit some of the shots that I couldn't believe. But those aren't the things that stick with me very long. It's the people that really stick with me. For over 12 years, I've been going down to the Indiana Golf Office for either board meetings or to give a rules clinic in the winter. And for those that don't know, the Hall of Fame is stored at the Indiana Golf Office in Franklin, and there's plaques on the wall of all the Hall of Fame members. And when I go down there, I always stop by and look at the plaques. I have to be honest, the first couple of years I looked at my dad and thought how proud I was of him and happy as my dad. But as the years went over 12 years, I'm sure I've looked at all the plaques and think about the people with names on there.